Welcome into Sportsmemo's college basketball betting podcast for December 6th, Thursday night's card with our guest Brent Crow. He's good at college basketball. Man, you hit last night, Brent. You've been hot of late. How's it feel? Welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, last night we had an easy winner with Vanderbilt and Middle Tennessee under, and it's been kind of choppy this year. We've had some bad breaks, and I think I lost a game by half point, lost one by overtime last week. So, but overall, it's been what I expected, and I think it's a great time to bet college basketball from really the entire season. But I really like November, December, January, and looking forward to continuing. I think we've won 4 out of 5 and keeping that up.
Yeah, no, you say choppy, just like, especially early in the season, it can be volatile, getting your reads right and everything, but it looks like you're getting into a good kind of, you're seeing it right now. I'm looking at your last couple plays. We were just talking 5-4-5, 5-4-6. You hit last night on MTSU, Vanderbilt under the total. And you also brought up the fact MTSU hasn't covered a game all season. Anything you learned from last night's winner?
It just confirms that Middle Tennessee can't score. I mean, they've got one player that's decent offensively. Other than that, it's a new cast of characters, a new coach, and it's anytime you have such a complete roster turnover with a new coach, you're going to have some struggles, and they've certainly done so. I mean, this has been a program that's been very solid for the last 8 or 10 years. And Kermit Davis left, went to Ole Miss. I think Nicholas McDevitt will do a great job. He certainly did at Asheville. But again, you lose a lot of players to graduation, and it changed the system, and you're going to struggle. I think they returned. What was it? See if I can find it right quick. What they returned from last year, returning minutes.
Not very much.
16.7%. That ranked 348 out of 353. And anytime you do that, it's going to be tough. I mean, Duke, Michigan, or Duke, Kentucky, those type teams can certainly overcome it more than the Middle Tennessee or a team in a lesser conference.
Yeah, Brent, I got off to a rough start in college basketball. I was on that Vandy MTSU under last night as well, so we won as a team there. And, it makes me feel a little good. I'm starting to – I feel like, bounce back here, kind of hit that trampoline and go on a little run. So it's good to see us lined up together. And we'll go over a couple games on tonight's card with Brent. And we have 2 coupon codes for the podcast. We got SAVE10, that's SAVE10 at checkout for any daily play for $10 off on today's card at sportsmemo.com. And also for Brent Crow, great college basketball handicapper. If you type in Crow 300, that's CROW 300, in checking out for his full season college basketball, you get $300 off at sportsmemo.com. It's a great package there. Last year he went 60%, up 25 units on a 1 and 2 unit scale, so profitable for himself and his clients. Brent, tonight's card, Thursday's card, December 6th, college basketball. Not a big card, but we'll break down a couple games here. We got 7:07, 7:08, 7 p.m. Eastern tip-off. Maryland, Purdue in the Big Ten, 150 the total. Looks like the Boilermakers laying 8.5 at home.
Yeah, Purdue's taking some money here. It opened at 6.5, and the total was 148.5, up to basically 8.5, 150 now. And Maryland has gotten off to a good start. They're another team that's pretty young. They play 3 freshmen a lot. Their only loss came at home to Virginia, and I thought they really played well against Virginia. They scored 71 points in 60 possessions against that defense, and they had to be encouraged with that. And then after that, their last game, they opened Big Ten play with a win over Penn State at home, 66-59. Purdue's dropped 2 in a row, 3 out of 4. And, they've lost to Michigan, Florida State, Virginia Tech. And those are 3 top 20 teams. And they've been, they had a chance to beat Florida State, really gave that game away on the road. It was a close game against Virginia Tech, and then they got manhandled by Michigan in their last game, 76-57. And I think Purdue bounces back here. I would have been more interested in laying 6.5 than 8.5, but this is a quality team on their home court. Maryland has a Big Ten win. Again, they're a young team on the road, and if I'm not mistaken, it's Maryland's first. They had a road game against Navy, so this is their first real road games. And again, you got a Purdue team off back-to-back losses, and it's a quality team despite having 3 losses. You can certainly give them credit for those three losses that they have. None of those bad losses at all. Carson Edwards having a great season, and like I said, I think it's a quality team. They just had they played some good competition, and they should bounce back with a win. I think the total seemed about right to me. I mean, it's going to fall within 10 points of that number either way, and it's not necessarily a really fast-paced game, not a slow-paced game. Both teams will run when they have the opportunities, and I think that just in the end, Purdue on their home court, just too much for Maryland's young players here.
And Brent, you bring up you'd rather lay 6.5 than 8.5. Were you just kind of generally saying that and wanting to always bet better numbers?
No, I just meant there was value at 6.5, but 8.5 is getting it's kind of stretching it with Purdue. I mean, you're asking for them if you're at 8.5. They need a double-digit win, and I don't think it's going to be a 20-point blowout here. So just not enough of value with Purdue at 8.5 to play it.
And Brent, a follow-up to that, is there, in college basketball, like, college football, 3 to 3.5, 7 to 7.5, stuff like that, are there key numbers you look out for in betting sides in college basketball betting markets? Not
really. I mean, in games that are really close to pick, I mean, obviously just common sense. I mean, you don't want to lay 3.5 if you can. If you miss a good number, -1, 1.5, and it goes to 3, 3.5, then I think that's pretty big. But once you get past those games, 6, 8, 10, 15, whatever, there's no key numbers.
Okay. We got 709, 710 Charlotte, Wake Forest 136. Seeing the total right now at Chris, looks like 9.5 pretty much across the board. That's Wake, the Demon Deacons, laying at home.
Yeah, Charlotte's another team that. New coach, new system, a lot of new players. I think they're starting 3 freshmen themselves and playing 4 or 5 pretty good minutes. John Davis, the returning starter at the point guard, is a quality player, but he's kind of doing it on his own this year with a lot of young players. And they also hired Ron Sanchez, who came from Virginia, trying to implement the pack line defense. And, it's been okay at times. They had a home win over Oklahoma State. They held Longwood to 39 points, but their problem, just similar to MTSU, they have one guy that can score, and other than that, they've struggled offensively. They're definitely playing slow. The defense, you don't just become Virginia immediately and play that pack line defense well. And, they've not been too bad defensively, but again, their biggest problem's on offense. They just have not been able to score. They rank 300th in effective field goal percentage, 305 in adjusted offensive efficiency. Just, again, not a lot of talent other than Davis, or, they may have some talent, but it's young. They're playing a Wake Forest team that, just can't seem to get over the hump with Danny Manning at head coach. I mean, they've been basically, a middling ACC team, and they've had some players, but overall they've not been able to move up into the top of the league. And this year seems like it's going to be another similar season than the last couple with Manning. They're 4-3. They've lost to Richmond, St. Joe's, and Houston Baptist at home. Their best win came against Fullerton or Valparaiso, so nothing spectacular for Wake Forest. On their home court, I would expect them to get a win here against Charlotte. Wake Forest, if they do one thing well, they shoot threes well. They're 35th in the nation in three-point percentage. They've kind of struggled defensively themselves, but I would think they have enough to get over the hump against Charlotte. Totaled at 135 and a half. The way Charlotte has been so slow, I wouldn't look to play many Charlotte games over the total right now until this number gets way down. And at this number, I would definitely lean under.
Brent, we got 7-11, 7-12, Drake, Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Looks like Drake laying 2.5 now. 149 being the total.
Yeah, Drake's got a new coach, Darian DeVries, and a lot of new players themselves. They were another team that had like 20% of their minutes returning. But they added some key transfers. Nick Norton came from UAB, grad transfer at the point, and he's played well. Brady Ellingson came in and has played decent. And, so far against light competition, they're 5-1. Their only really good team that they played was Colorado, and they lost by 29 on the road in that one. They beat a Boise team at home last week, and Boise's down from what they've had over the last few years as well, but that is Drake's best win. Milwaukee under Pat Baldwin, just 2-6 with home wins against Brooklyn and Albany. They just came back from Ireland where they lost to Buffalo and Stephen F. Austin by double digits. And this Milwaukee team last year couldn't score. Same problem this year. They're 276 in adjusted efficiency. They don't shoot the three well. They turn the ball over. It's just again a team that doesn't have a lot of offensive weapons, and they're trying to play a little faster this year, but you've got to be able to put the ball in the hole, and that's been a problem for Milwaukee against good teams. And I think this will be an interesting game though. Drake, has basically played the same schedule that Milwaukee has, other than they haven't played anybody as good as Buffalo or Cincinnati, but they've been able to win those games, and Milwaukee hasn't. So we'll see if the home court for Milwaukee makes the difference here. Again, like you said, Drake now a 2.5-point favorite at open pick, so money coming in on Drake, but I'm not sure they're ready to go on the road and win a game here against a team that, for the most part, is about similar to them talent-wise.
Brent, we got another 2.5-point spread here with 7-13, 7-14. Iowa State at Iowa. Looks like 2.5. The Cyclones laying 153, seeing as high as 154.5. So some opinion in this total in the marketplace. But how would you look to bet the Cyclones and Hawkeyes here?
Yeah, it's creeped up a little bit, and with Iowa State, they've gotten off to a pretty good start at 7-1. Their only loss came to Arizona. Their best wins against San Diego State. They're playing basically four guards. Had some injuries. They've really had some personnel problems. Cameron Laird's only played one game. Lindell Wigginton has only played one. Zoran Talley played one game. I think he got hurt or got suspended. And Laird is back. He played his first game in their last one, and he gives them more of a post presence at 6'9". But reading Steve Prohm says he's going to continue to play four guards for the time being because they've done it basically the entire season so far, and he's just not going to change it. So still a four-guard lineup for Iowa State, and they're facing this is a huge rivalry game with Iowa. Iowa had got off to a great start at 6-0, and then they've dropped their last two, but home game to Wisconsin, road game against Michigan State. Two top 15 teams. They also have wins over Oregon and Connecticut. And the thing with Iowa, all of a sudden, their last three games, they can't score. And they had been very efficient in their first six. All those victories, they were definitely doing a nice job on offense. But all of a sudden, against Michigan, 68 points and 68 possessions, 66 against Wisconsin and 67 possessions. Even their last win against Pittsburgh in 70 possessions, only 69 points. So as the defense has stiffened a little bit, Iowa's has had trouble scoring, and they didn't shoot the three well at all against Michigan State. That's what they opened the second half ice cold and couldn't score. Wound up 6 for 22 for the game. And here's a game that I think will be fast-paced. Both teams like to or would prefer to get out and run. Last year it was 84-78 in 76 possessions, so that was definitely a high-scoring game. The year before, same score, actually 78-64 in 72 possessions. So they're not going to. Neither team's going to slow it down, and I think the history here is one of the total has gone up a little bit. But Iowa's the way they played on offense the last three times out kind of tempers my enthusiasm for them being able to score here. And I didn't play it over. I looked at it and I wanted to get there, but I'm going to wait and see if this is a problem for Iowa when they step up in competition as far as scoring the ball.
Good stuff, Brent. I'm kind of amazed by your knowledge here. And just to let everyone know, like about 5 minutes before we started this podcast, I just texted Brent, you want to do a podcast? And so there's not a lot of preparation time. And just listen to you kind of break down these games is really impressive. But so
well, you got to remember that every night of the season, that's all I do is watch games when they're over, read recaps and previews and so forth. So, I spend way more time on college basketball than anything else. I don't do the NBA, so my time is devoted to college basketball, and it's paid off a lot in the last few years for sure.
Yeah, great stuff, Brent. I'm impressed. And guys, remember the coupon code CROW, CROW 300 at checkout for his full season college basketball special podcast coupon. You can get it for $300 off at sportsmemo.com. He's got a 4% play up for tonight. If you just want that, you can use the coupon code SAVE10 at checkout and save $10 on that play as well. Brent, I got a question for you might not know. It has, I guess, something loosely to do with college basketball, but more so just kind of general knowledge here. Do you know what the Iowa State-Iowa rivalry is called?
The Cyhawk?
Yeah! How'd you know that?
Like I said, I read a lot.
All right. No, that was that's one of my favorite names out there. It makes a lot of sense, the Cyhawk rivalry. Well, Brent, let's give them some late night action for not the degenerates out there, but the guys that like a little get back special. We got 7:15, 7:16, 10 p.m. Eastern tip off. Pepperdine, Cal, Riverside. Looks like Pepperdine laying 6 on the road. 147.5 the total.
Pepperdine, they also have a new coach, Lorenzo Romar, who was out of basketball last year, came over from Washington. And, at Washington, Romar was a guy that we like to make fun of. He had a lot of talent. They played really fast and didn't play much defense. And, they never really achieved what they could have based on the talent that they had. I mean, he recruited nationally, got a lot of nice players, and they never did make any noise in the NCAA tournament. At Pepperdine, he's playing fast again. I mean, you look at they're 17th in the country in tempo, but so far it's been a weak schedule. They're 5-3. Best win comes against Miami of Ohio, but they've been playing some high scoring games, and they play Riverside, who is the opposite basically. Also a team that has a new coach in David Patrick. This is his first year as a head coach, and they're playing slow. They're 325 in tempo. They have not been able to score. 314 in efficiency. And it's not like they've been playing a lot of good competition. They played Oregon State to open the year. Since then, it's been teams in the 200s. And you look at their scores. They've been losing by 20 to UNLV and Pacific, and double digits to Cal Baptist and Abilene Christian. So, obviously not a lot of talent at Riverside, but the total at 147 and a half here. That Pepperdine's going to try to run, and they don't play much defense. I mean, with Lorenzo Romar, I don't play many of his games under the total, even when they play a team like Riverside that's not very good offensively. I mean, that, again, I'm not going to play it, but if I did, I'd play this one over.
All right, and Brent, just so we can say we did every game on the board, let's do 7-17, 7-18. Oakland, Fairfield, 147 the total. Looks like Fairfield 2.5 at home.
I guess the theme of the day is nobody coming back, and here's another team. Oakland lost everybody. Basically starting over. Greg Campy has been there. What's he been? He's been there for like 25 years or something. I mean, he's been there for a long time. And, he's always been an up-tempo guy. It's amazing. You look at the last few years, how many possessions they had per game, and Oakland's always been in the top. I mean, they like to get up and down the court, and all of a sudden this year they're 313 in tempo. They're 332 in average possession length. So, I mean, they're taking a lot of time per possession, and I guess it's it's probably driving him crazy to have to do that when you got a lot of young players and you don't have. I mean, he's had some NBA guys over the last few years and some guys that could really shoot the three. I mean, he always gets transfers that are really talented, but this year, obviously not the case, as he has had to slow it down. And the problem this year is their defense is horrendous. They're 340 in the country in defense, which means that that they're just atrocious. Their effective field goal percentage allowed is 57%, and they have yet to play a game that was really high paced. And then you look, they've already allowed 92 points and 87, 85. I mean, again, defense struggling for Oakland. And again, basically the same type of schedule. They're playing teams that are similar similar to them, so it's not like they're stepping up in competition. They're playing Fairfield tonight. Sidney Johnson, the head coach there, and Fairfield also struggling at 2-6, and they played one good team, Purdue, to open the season, lost by 33. Since then, they've lost to teams like Longwood and Wagner and LIU Brooklyn, and kind of the same deal. They're terrible defensively. They shoot the three okay on offense, but they don't have any good defensive numbers. I don't think it's going to be a really high-paced game. It's probably going to be in the high 60s, but as bad as these two teams are on defense, again, I look to play it over 147.
All right, Brent, great stuff, man. Anything else you want to throw out before we shut this down?
I believe that's it for today.
All right. Well, happy Thursday to you. Happy Thursday to all the listeners out there. And, guys, 2 coupon codes, SAVE10 at checkout for $10 off any daily play at sportsmemo.com if that's what you're going for. But it might be even better savings. Actually, it definitely will be. Full season college basketball. Crow 300 at checkout is the coupon code for $300 off his full season college basketball. A great package there. One of the best on sportsmemo.com. As far as profitability goes. So best of luck with your bets out there. We'll be back tomorrow with the NFL Every Game on the Board podcast.